March 1815. Napoleon Bonaparte escaped Elba, landing in France. Exploiting unrest, he marched on Paris. The army, sent to stop him, rallied to his side. He reclaimed his throne. The 100 Days had begun. The news shocked the great powers at the Congress of Vienna. Britain, Prussia, Austria, and Russia united. They declared Napoleon an outlaw and formed the Seventh Coalition. Their sole aim was his final destruction. Napoleon faced overwhelming odds. The coalition mobilized over 700,000 troops, and time was against him. His only option was a preemptive strike, using his famed strategy of the central position. The target, Belgium, to find and defeat Wellington's Anglo-Dutch force and Blücher's Prussians. June 15th, Napoleon crossed the Belgian border, surprising the Allies. The next day, at Ligny, he attacked the Prussians. It was a brutal French victory, but not decisive. The Prussian army was damaged, but not destroyed. Crucially, the defeated Prussians made a strategic choice. They did not retreat east towards home. Instead, they marched north to Wavre. This brilliant maneuver ensured they remained close enough to support Wellington. Napoleon misjudged this. He split his army. He detached Marshal Grouchy with 33,000 men, a third of his force. His orders were critical: pursue the Prussians and prevent them from joining Wellington at all costs. At that time, Wellington withdrew to the long Mongseng Ridge near Waterloo, the defensive position of his choice. June 18, 1815, the Battle of Waterloo. Napoleon launched ferocious assaults. Through massive cavalry charges led by Marshal Ney, the French pushed the Anglo-Allied army to the brink of collapse. But where was Grouchy? This is our divergence point. Miles away near Wavre, Grouchy heard the cannons. His subordinate, General Gerard, urged him to march to the sound of the guns. In our timeline, Grouchy refused. He rigidly adhered to his orders to pursue the Prussians, ignoring the strategic reality. This decision sealed Napoleon's fate. At 4:30 p.m., Blücher's Prussians arrived, smashing into the French right flank. Napoleon was forced to divert his crucial reserves to stop them. He was now fighting two battles. The final assault by the Imperial Guard failed. The French army disintegrated. Napoleon's reign ended. But what if Grouchy had listened? What if he chose strategic intuition over rigid obedience? Noon, Wavre. General Gerard argues their place is on the battlefield. This time, the Marshal hesitates, then makes a different call. He trusts his instinct. He orders his 33,000 men west. Grouchy's objective: intercept Blücher. His forces maneuver to block the path to Waterloo. Mid-afternoon, Grouchy's corps engages the Prussian columns. He doesn't have to defeat Blücher, he just has to delay him. Back at Waterloo, the battle rages. Wellington awaits reinforcements that do not arrive. He faces Napoleon alone. Crucially, without the Prussian threat, Napoleon retains his vital reserves, including the elite Young Guard. By 6 p.m., the French capture the key farmhouse of La Haye-Sainte. Wellington's center is weakened and crumbling. Seeing the crisis, Napoleon prepares his masterstroke. He will unleash the Imperial Guard. 7 p.m. The French Emperor orders the Imperial Guard forward. Supported by the fresh reserves he saved from the Prussians, they advance up the slope. The battered Allied defenders pour fire, but the momentum is unstoppable. The Guard crashes into the Allied center. Wellington's line shatters. The Allied army routs. Napoleon has his decisive victory. Days later, the French army enters Brussels. The news of Waterloo sends shockwaves across Europe. The impact in Britain is devastating. Britain had been at war for over 20 years, accumulating massive debt and facing widespread war weariness. The pro-war Tory government collapses. The opposition Whig Party, advocating negotiation, seizes power. With Britain withdrawing, the Seventh Coalition disintegrates. Austria and Russia are unwilling to fight Napoleon alone. Austria fears Russian expansion more than a contained French empire. The alliance fractures. Napoleon, knowing a long war is unwinnable, offers peace terms. 1816. The powers sign the Treaty of Brussels. The European monarchies formally recognize Napoleon as the legitimate ruler of France. France accepts its natural frontiers: the Rhine, the Alps, and the Pyrenees. The wars are over. The conservative Vienna system never materializes. A new era begins, the French century. With his throne secured, the older Napoleon abandons conquest. He focuses inward, stabilizing and modernizing France. He embraces a liberal empire, strengthening the constitutional monarchy and the Napoleonic Code. Stability fosters growth. France accelerates its industrialization, emerging as the dominant economic power on the continent. Britain remains the naval power, but its influence on the continent is reduced. In our timeline, Napoleon died in exile in 1821. Here, free from St. Helena, he remains vital. He rules until the late 1830s, providing long-term stability for his reforms to take root. Crucially, Napoleon ensures a smooth succession. His son, Napoleon II, who died young in our timeline, grows up under his tutelage. The elder emperor peacefully transfers power. The Bonaparte dynasty is established, solidifying France as the center of European power. The 19th century evolves under the French tricolor. The most profound consequence is the fate of Germany. In our history, Prussia's role at Waterloo elevated its status and secured the industrial Rhineland. In this timeline, Prussia is diminished by the failed campaign. With France controlling the Rhine's west bank, the path to German unification under Prussian leadership is blocked. Prussia lacks the economic resources and political prestige to challenge the established order. The aggressive German Empire, forged by Bismarck in our timeline, never materializes. Germany remains a loose confederation, a cultural hub, but not a unified military powerhouse. The pivotal Franco-Prussian War of 1870 does not occur. There is no annexation of Alsace-Lorraine. The deep animosity between France and Germany, a defining feature of modern history, never takes root. As the 20th century dawns, the world is different. The absence of a unified, aggressive Germany alters the geopolitical landscape. The escalating arms race driven by German ambition does not exist. Colonial rivalries persist, but the catalyst for total war is missing. The Belle Epoque continues, characterized by progress and flourishing, uninterrupted by the trauma of the Great War. The consequences are profound. Without World War I, extremist ideologies do not materialize. The Russian Revolution is likely moderate without the war's devastation. Fascism and Nazism find no fertile ground. Consequently, the Second World War and the Holocaust are averted. The Cold War never happens. The old European empires, French, British, and Russian, endure much longer, evolving gradually rather than collapsing violently. The 20th century unfolds with an unimaginable continuity. 2025. The world reflects this uninterrupted European dominance. Without the world wars, Europe remains the undisputed political, economic, and cultural center of the globe. The American century never dawned. France, perhaps a constitutional monarchy under the Bonaparte, leads the European Continental Compact. Paris is the unrivaled capital of world diplomacy and culture. The Napoleonic Code is the global legal standard. The global order is multipolar. The United States is a major power, but not the global hegemon. France, Britain, Russia, and the USA must compete for influence in a delicate balance of power. It is a world shaped by the enduring legacy of the French Revolution's ideals, spread by Napoleon. The 19th century definitively became the French century, not the British century of our timeline, all because one marshal, on a muddy field in Belgium, chose to march to the sound of the guns.